We are further strengthening our border defences against COVID-19 by broadening the range of border workers covered by a health order that requires them to be vaccinated. The current border order covers workers in our MIQ facilities, some cabin crew, and government officials at affected airports and affected ports. The vaccination of MIQ workers has been successful to date, with latest figures indicating all of the 4,332 MIQ workers on site for the week ending 4 July were vaccinated. No unvaccinated worker can enter an MIQ facility. This workforce being vaccinated has played a key part in our border defence system. But with new variants like Delta on the rise globally, we need to make sure we're always adjusting our settings to ensure we keep the virus out. Recent events have shown us that stronger measures are necessary to keep COVID-19 out, and also we've had a period of time now where those who are outside government employment have had an opportunity to be vaccinated, and now we believe we need to move to respond to those areas where we have not seen the uptake we've required. So we are extending the health order to a wider group of workers at our airports, naval ports and border who are at the greatest risk of exposure to COVID-19. The COVID-19 Public Health Response Vaccinations Amendment Order 2021 will make it compulsory for more port and border workers to be vaccinated, comes into effect at 11:59 p.m. on 14 July 2021 and includes a reasonable window for vaccinations to happen. Alongside the MIQ and MIF workers already covered, the following groups will now be included: airside area of affected airports and some higher risk work at airports, affected ports, accommodation services where specified aircrew members are self-isolating. It also includes work that involves handling affected items removed from ships, aircraft, or MIQs or MIFs, or in places where the employee works for a company that is routinely engaged to provide services for an aircraft, ship, MIQ, or MIF, and has contact with people who belong to different groups in the order, so those, for instance, who may work airside. All government employees covered by the order must have had their first dose by 26 August. Privately employed border workers must have had their first dose by 30 September. New workers covered by the order, regardless of employer, will need to have their first dose before starting work. Border workers who remain unvaccinated after the requirements come into effect will need to discuss options with their employer, as they will not be able to continue working in a high-risk border environment until they are vaccinated. I'll just hand over to Minister Hipkins now to give you a bit of a sense of what the numbers will look like for these affected groups. Then I'll make some final quick comments before opening for questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We have across our border in our border worker testing register, we have about 30,000 people. However, not all of those are currently active. Of the people who are active, we have vaccination of about 83% of them fully vaccinated. A further 3% have had at least one dose. In terms of the workers covered by this particular order, it covers around potentially 5,000 people, whether they are active or not active. About 1,800 of those are active in the border worker testing register, which means that they would be covered. The balance of that group will only be covered if they go back to work at the border, and many of them won't. Around 1,400 of those 1,800 are air and maritime border workers, and then the rest are inactive. So inactive means that they haven't worked for more than 2 weeks, and therefore they're no longer on the regular testing cycles.